January 26th did not begin as a holiday of power or parades. It began as a promise. Long before the Constitution came into force in 1950, this date carried the weight of India's political awakening and its demand to be free. To understand why January 26th changed India forever, we must return to the final decades of British rule, when the idea of freedom itself was being redefined. By the late 1920s, Indian nationalism had moved beyond petitions and partial reforms. The Simon Commission of 1928, sent by Britain without a single Indian member, was widely boycotted and exposed the limits of colonial consultation. Indian leaders debated their future with urgency, producing the Nehru Report that sought dominion status within the British Empire, only to see even that modest demand ignored. Disillusionment hardened resolve, and the question before the nation became stark. If self-respect was denied within the empire, could it only be secured outside it? That turning point came in December 1929 at the Indian National Congress session in Lahore. Under the presidency of Jawaharlal Nehru, the Congress rejected dominion status and declared Purna Swaraj, complete independence, as its goal. It was a radical declaration, not yet a legal reality, but a moral and political commitment made before the nation and the world. The Congress called upon Indians to observe January 26, 1930 as Independence Day, a day of public pledges, peaceful demonstrations, and the reaffirmation of self-rule as a non-negotiable right. Across cities and villages, the tricolour was unfurled, people took oaths of freedom, and colonial laws were openly defied. January 26th became the date on which India declared to itself who it intended to be, even though the British Raj still stood. In the years that followed, January 26th was remembered and renewed as a symbol rather than a statute. Each year, nationalists marked the day to keep the idea of complete independence alive, especially during periods of repression, mass arrests, and political uncertainty. It stood for unity across regions, languages, and classes, and for a shared future shaped by Indians themselves. The Salt Satyagraha of 1930, launched weeks after that first Independence Day, transformed the declaration of Purna Swaraj into mass action, drawing millions into the freedom struggle and redefining resistance through non-violence and civil disobedience. Even as negotiations, elections, and world war altered the political landscape in the 1930s and 1940s, January 26th remained a quiet reminder of a pledge yet to be fulfilled. When independence finally arrived on August 15, 1947, it came with both triumph and trauma. India was free, but it was also divided. And freedom alone did not answer the deeper question of how the new nation would govern itself. That task fell to the Constituent Assembly, which worked through debate and disagreement to draft a constitution rooted in democratic ideals, fundamental rights, and social justice. On November 26, 1949, the Constitution was formally adopted, but its enforcement was deliberately set for January 26, 1950. This choice was not accidental or ceremonial. It was an act of historical continuity, linking the legal birth of the Republic to the moral declaration made 2 decades earlier. By bringing the Constitution into force on January 26th, independent India honoured the day it first claimed complete sovereignty in principle, long before it achieved it in law. Thus, January 26th before 1950 was not merely a date on a calendar. It was an idea sustained through struggle, sacrifice, and belief. It marked the moment when India stopped asking for freedom and began insisting upon it, when independence became a collective vow rather than a distant hope. When the Republic of India was finally born on that same date in 1950, it closed a historical circle that began with defiance and ended with self-rule. January 26th changed India forever, because it taught a nation to imagine itself as free before it truly was, and then to build the institutions needed to remain free long after the promise was fulfilled.